Morning everyone. I'm gonna do a quick little garden tour, see how things are going mid-August. Everything's in full swing right now. A lot of things are coming on, a lot of things are coming off. So let's go ahead and take a little look. I want to say my biggest success so far, at least this couple weeks, was the one that came last week and trimmed all the patty pan squash, a lot of undergrowth. I actually took a lot off, but as a result, they've been producing heavy fruit. Like probably getting about 10 fruit off a plant a week. So that's pretty awesome. You see right here with the kale. Kale is still doing really well. I don't think we're gonna have kale in the next couple of weeks because canola harvest happens soon. Usually when you have canola harvest, you end up getting a lot of leaf beetles coming in. And right now it's also getting hit with a lot of cabbage butterflies as well, so that is what it is. This row of cauliflower has done piss poor. I don't know what I did. Do lots of learning next year, but for the most part, it's just bolting. I thought you can form a nice head, just bolts right away. You can see right there. Right there. Oh well, it is what it is, right? This bed of broccoli cauliflower I showed last time, I actually have some broccoli plants coming up and forming. So I won't have any broccoli for CSA customers, but could. You can see right here is that cauliflower we planted. And then we're all right over here being swamped by weeds right now. The kohlrabi is just coming up, so should have kohlrabi in about 4 weeks, right in time for the last CSA. Cabbages. We harvested a whole bunch yesterday. They did great, but they're starting to pop. It's starting to crack. This sucks. I know for next year that we plan to stagger into cabbages. So I'm thinking probably 40, 50 cabbages early spring, then come out a month later, put other transplants in. And that way we have a nice rotation of cabbages and they're not all splitting and cracking at the same time. But that being said, those early Copenhagens, they're still cracking. They're still just huge monsters. It looks like someone took a hatchet to them, but not too bad. So with those Copenhagens, I'm not gonna have any available for the next CSA. And I already gave red cabbages this week, so I don't want to give cabbages next week. Or I think people are gonna be cabbaged out, so I'm just gonna go ahead, take the good ones out, sell them, take the split ones for myself, make a whole bunch of sauerkraut, freeze a bunch of cabbage for the winter. We'll be good to go. Next, I did a row of carrots. The germination was pretty poor, but they're coming in where it's like around the weeds are coming in. Not bad. It's just, I planted in the heat of summer and I didn't water enough every single day. So it's just, it is what it is. It was a trial. It was just seeing how much carrots I could get out of it. We still have 5 more weeks of our CSA and we have enough carrots in our main row that we'll have more than enough carrots for the CSA. So I'm not too worried. It's just an experiment, see how things go. Go back to the drawing board. Maybe I can get an earlier germination next up. I had this lettuce here I planted about August? No, not August, mid-July. And I put that black row cover over it, shade cloth, make sure everything's good. So it's funny. It's funny because I didn't have enough of the row cover, so I just covered what I could. And then kind of like a controlled study, see what grows better underneath the row cover or out here. And actually the stuff under the row cover has grown better than the stuff over here, which makes sense, right? Lettuce doesn't like a lot of heat, but for the most part, it's funny that this has grown really well, that this has grown really well, like pretty much twice the size as this. Huh? I love gardening. Always something new. Next up, red onions. Red onions didn't get a very big size this year. I have to do more research with red onions. Like there's a couple, like this one right here, they did pretty good. And that one. But like, there's a lot of little ones in here too. So maybe it's a lack of water, maybe we need more sulfur in the soil. Who knows? With Swiss chard's pretty much done. It's kaput. Not much else is going to go on it. It's getting hit with bugs and it's starting to bolt, so it's going to come out soon. This row right here with the white onions, they're doing pretty good. They didn't get a big size, but I planted so many that we're able to give people like 2 onions per box, so there's a lot here. So I think we'll make up more with volume than size, right? Next row, leeks. This is the best leeks I've ever looked that I've grown. Like, I can't get over how good this looks. That's crazy. Don't mind the crickets, they're freaking everywhere. Holy shit, crickets. But holy shit, leeks. Like, I'll have leeks go out to people within the next 2 weeks for sure. I planted so many leeks. I planted like 128 leeks. I didn't know how much was going to survive. I didn't know anything. I just planted like a large volume just in case. And just in case, they pretty much don't survive. All right, right next to the leeks here are the beets. Beets are just doing amazing. But mind you, when do beets not do amazing? I haven't seen beets not do very well in the past, but beets always do great. I don't know what to say. I have a couple recipes on the website on igfresh.ca. If you want to check them out, there is some great beet recipes on there. If you want to go ahead, look at them, use them for yourself. I'm always all about people trying new things and trying different recipes other than, say, borscht or a beet salad. Next up is carrots right next to it. I actually haven't really used this polytunnel at all much this year. I think I'm going to move it over there to where the spinach and arugula are. But for the most part, carrots, we're just going to be picking carrots all the rest of the year. They've done amazing. They've grown so well. Being when they started, they were just covered in weeds. I had to like go in, hand pick all the little weeds out of it. It was a nightmare, but it is what it is. They came up really well, getting lots of carrots off it, so no complaints. Next up is red and white potatoes. Potatoes are just doing amazing. The red ones are like a good size. They're about like half of my fist. They're like a nice sized potato. But the white potatoes are like huge. I got one out of there that was a 1.5 pound potato yesterday. Like 1.5 pounds, and I planted in late May. So 1, 2, maybe like 2.5, 3 months. They've produced like insane amount of food. I see why people love potatoes. I see why my grandmother's generation, they planted potatoes, because it's such a good calorie. It grows so well, so fast, and it's just an amazing product. It produces so much food off of one plant. Right here, we got beans. Beans are done. They're done, they're out. It's actually funny because my last picking, I started noticing on the bean plants, see if I can find any, that something was eating my actual beans. And something would come by, eat the bottom half of it, and then fuck off. I can't find anything. I pretty much picked through it all, or a lot of it. But our beans are just starting to get hit. I don't know what it was, because peas weren't affected at all. So I don't know if it's mice or gophers or what, but I have not noticed any gophers at all in this area all summer, which is rare, because usually in Saskatchewan you see a lot of fucking gophers. Like, our football team's mascot is a fucking gopher. That's how many gophers we have here. I think it's probably lice, but who knows. And then right next to the beans here, I planted in another thing of lettuce. I did that 3 days ago. So some of it has a bit of transplant shock. I was expecting that. But for the most part, it's come in really well. It's the red sail. If anyone's grown red sail before, I bought red sail to plant in the heat of summer because it is heat tolerant. So this is gonna be interesting to see. I'm not gonna cover it at all. And hopefully we have this lettuce ready for the last 2 CSAs. So last 2 weeks, or sorry, the first 2 weeks in September. It should be ready to go out. So 3 weeks time, I think it'll be ready. It was already growing like gangbusters and it's already putting on new growth. So amazing. Right next to it, I have another fall crop. I have arugula planted, hackberry turnip, and spinach, all of which are coming up. Turnips right here, so I gotta do a little bit of thinning it out. It's already starting to get some flea beetle pressure on it, but that's flea beetles for you, hey? And then just down here is the arugula. You can see the arugula is just coming up. So I'm gonna get a net on this today, make sure everything's good. Have arugula in about 2-3 weeks. Amazing. I love arugula. It's a great fall and spring veg. Especially this is like, it grows so well. It's frost tolerant. I have no complaints with it so far. Right, so what we all know and love, the peppers. Planted 2 types of peppers here. Step over the row. Planted 2 types of peppers. I planted a Hungarian wax, which is coming in very well. It's very prolific. I can't get over how amazing it is. Like some of these peppers, like right there, like next week's CSA, guys, if you're watching this, guys, ladies, you watching this? Ooh, what is that? That's a new one for me. I guess that's mine. If you're watching this, peppers next week coming your way, ready or not. Like these are big. I've never grown this variety before, but I'm definitely going to grow it again. This is great. So I planted 25 plants of that, hoping that we have enough. I think we're gonna have enough for this week. And then down here I planted the standard bell pepper. You can see right about here, bell peppers coming in nicely. We have about 10 of those, so I'm gonna split them. People are gonna have about 10 people are gonna get those green bell peppers, and other people are gonna get the other peppers. Those I don't know what they're called. Like I thought they were a California pepper, like a Cali pepper, a little lunchbox pepper, but they got much bigger than that. So these things. So we had a really bad wind come through about last Friday. It was really bad. About 50 kilometers an hour, gusting up to 70. I started whipping these tomatoes around. So being that you can see the whole trellis system, they're just out in the open. There's no protection. They are truly a field tomato. You can see, like, here's the tomatoes. There's an open field. This is east. So north, east, south, west. But it's an open field. And right now we have, a lot of times in the summer, we're getting a lot more east and south winds, which is nice. It usually brings more moisture, but for the most part, the tomatoes are really out in the open. And they fared fairly well, except for having a trellis. So the trellises hold up great, tomatoes not so much. So I've had to put it in a weave at the bottom to give it more stability. I'm gonna go through today and put a weave in here too, with the Sun Golds and Juliets, just to make sure they're nicely supported as well. Right next to these tomatoes, we have jalapeno peppers, planted 25 feet, about 25 plants. And they are coming on so fast right now. There's so many jalapenos. You're gonna have jalapeno poppers. Oh, I can't wait to throw in enough jalapenos for jalapeno poppers. All right, so last 2 rows. cucumbers. We got slicing cucumbers or English cucumbers. If anyone's making this trellis, the trellis to make you jealous, trellis, amazing. I highly recommend it. It holds up great. So we've had some 100-kilometer-hour winds, and it's held up amazing. I definitely do not recommend jute twine. Do not buy jute twine. You're like, oh, look at the jute twine. You can get so much for such a cheap price. That's why it's cheap, people. Yes, it deteriorates and breaks down, but also in the field, it deteriorates and breaks down. Go ahead, buy tomato twine. It's gonna hold up to elements. It's gonna make your life easier. Just go ahead, buy tomato twine. It's gonna hold up so much better. Because now I'm gonna have to go through here and string up all these cucumbers that have gone down. But let's also look at the bright side. There's a great amount of cucumbers growing on these plants still. We've been averaging off of 15 plants about 30 to 40 cucumbers a week. So that's a pretty good average, I would say. And then same with those pickling cucumbers. Pickling cucumbers are just blowing up. Nothing's holding them back. I think the only thing that's going to stop them is that powdery mildew that we're going to get in a couple weeks. But otherwise, everything has a season, right? All right, lastly, this jungle just leads all the way through. The squash is always doing amazing. Let's see if we can find some squash in here. Oh yeah, right there. Boom. So fast. I swear, 2 days ago, that was half the size. These butternut squash are thriving. And then for the acorn squash, I think it's acorn squash. I bought it as acorn squash, but I see acorn squash in the store. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's acorn squash. But like, these do not look like acorn squash at all. I think I was given the wrong seed. But whatever squash they are doing phenomenal. Let's even get here. There's a big one in here, bigger than a sugar pumpkin. There's a big one back there, another one back there, another one right there. For it to turn out so well, it's just doing amazing, growing so well. It's doing, yeah, it's just awesome. And then you look in here, my experimental sugar pumpkins coming in nice. I got about, I think I've counted 4 or 5 that size. Big time to do garden tours in August because everything's on, everything's going, everything's abundant. Everyone gets to see just the amazing fruit and veg that are growing in here. And I hope to share more with you next week. Have a great week.